You all right, Mr. Gruber?
Sure am, Humphrey. Couldn't be better. Well, sir. Now, what'd you think of that, huh? You see how I set her down? I tell you, I'm getting better every day. Yes, sir, I always say practice makes perfect, and foresight makes better than that. Why, if I hadn't had the foresight to buy this machine, I wouldn't be a flying farmer today. I'd still be living in the bygone times.
Safer then, if you ask me.
Oh, now, Humphrey, you got your neck bowed again. A fella says to me at this agronomy meeting, he says, Mr. Gruber, he says, your enthusiasm for farming just beats all, he says. And do you know why, Humphrey? I'll tell you why. It's because I've not ever had my neck bowed against something new. I've always been on the lookout for bigger and better ways of doing things.
Bigger and better ways of keeping out of work.
Oh, now, Humphrey, you know I'm not afraid of work when it's necessary, but I always say there's no harm in looking for ways to make it unnecessary. Say, what's this you're up to?
Setting a new post for the gate, like you told me.
With a sharpshooter? Humphrey, we've got that new auger in the shed that'll do the job in 2 minutes. I'll bet you if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000,000 times. When there's a quicker way, cut the corner.
Setting up the machinery will take longer than digging the hole.
All right then, Humphrey, we'll use foresight. Now, it stands to reason if this post is rotten, a lot of them are. That's foresight. I'd say set up the machinery and then get them all out.
The whole fence?
That's right. By using a little foresight, we can have a whole new fence. Here, I'll just run the tractor out of the shed for you.
Mr. Gruber.
Huh? What'd you say, Humphrey?
I'm the hired hand.
Oh, yeah, sure. Wouldn't want to meddle in your job. Too tired, anyway. Say, do you know that's pretty good? Hired hand, tired hand. That's pretty good, huh? Well, I won't get in your way. I think I'll just go in and set a spell while I read this stuff I got at the agronomy meeting. Sure fine stuff. Latest scientific methods. Ought to help us out a lot with our field crops.
Airplanes, gasoline augers. Start out to fix a gate and end up fixing a whole bloomin' fence. Yeah, him and his scientific method.
Humphrey Pottle, hired man, was a diligent soul, a man of the soil, dedicated to the notion that the hard way was the only way. He believed in old-fashioned toil, old-fashioned tools, and the old-fashioned ways to farm. Every morning of the world, Humphrey arrived ready to put his old-fashioned virtues to work. And every morning, he ran smack into some new scheme that his boss, Ollie Gruber, had dreamed up to make hard work unnecessary.
Morning, Humphrey.
Morning, Mr. Gruber.
Well, say it. What do you think of it?
You sure you want me to?
That's right. Speak up. I always say a fella does well to listen once in a while.
Well,
A fella says to me at this agronomy meeting the other day, he says, Ollie, he says, I haven't heard you say anything. And I says to him, George, name was George Barber. George, I says, a fella does well to listen to the folks around him once in a while, I always say.
Well,
and it's a good thing I did listen, too, because that's when I heard about building this rig.
What is it?
What'd you say, Humphrey?
What is it?
Now, I'm glad you asked me that, Humphrey. You might call this a kind of a cultivator.
With nozzles?
Hey, Granny's you're sharp, Humphrey. No, sir, I can't fool you. I heard about this stuff at the meeting. brand new thing. You spray it on, see, either in bands or overall treatments. That's why the nozzles. Well, like I said, we're going to spray it on directly over the rows at the time we're planting. And you might call this rig a sort of a homemade cultiplanter. While it's planting, it's doing the work of a cultivator.
I won't nothing ever take the place of a cultivator.
Oh, now that's where you're wrong, Humphrey. That's where you're wrong.
Mr. Gruber, I hate to say I told you so before you even start.
Yeah?
But you ain't gonna get out of cultivating this year no more than you did last. Now, last year you sprayed for brush and you sprayed for weeds. You kept right on cultivating because of all the foxtail and crabgrass.
Oh, I don't say we won't go over the field once late, maybe, to unpack it. But you hit the nail right on the head when you said grass. You see that, Humphrey? Grass killer.
Oh, I give up. Why, they can sell you anything just as long as they tell you it's new. Any farmer knows that corn is grass or pert near it. If you kill the grass, you kill the corn right along with it.
Well, we'll just see, Humphrey. We'll just wait and see. You keep your eye on the big red M. I got a suspicion you're going to be surprised.
I'll be surprised if I'm surprised.
Now, you do like I say. You keep your eye on the big red M.
That's the big red M of the Monsanto Chemical Company. In 1956, Monsanto began to market ready-to-use farm chemicals. First, a series of the standard effective weed and brush killers, already familiar to farmers, in the highest quality formulations to provide trouble-free mixing and spraying and uniform spreading and wetting. But the challenge was only partly met, because as late as December 1953, leading academic weed specialists were saying,
so far, there is no herbicide that will take annual grasses out of corn. And there's not likely to be one soon, because both plants are members of the grass family.
Yet even while the specialists were voicing their doubts, Monsanto was preparing to announce the development of a compound that could do what had long been considered improbable. It could kill grasses without killing corn. Randox, they called it, the first such chemical commercially available. Randox had proved itself first in the testing labs, where hundreds of experiments with living plants showed the characteristics of the chemical. In test after test, these were the results. Seed sown in unprotected soil had to struggle with a host of weed competitors, while identical seed in identical soil treated with these amazing new farm chemicals sprouted and thrived, completely free from weed competition. Field results were the same. In typical plots where frequent rains at the wrong time postponed cultivation, grassy weeds overran the rows. Yet in the same field were other rows where young corn plants, practically free of grass, have a chance to thrive on the fertilizer and moisture in the soil. And Randox made the difference. This new chemical, sprayed on at the time the crop is planted, is the answer to grassy weeds, for it kills the grass without harming the crop. You see, at the time crop seeds go into the ground, there are also thousands of weed seeds lying dormant in the soil, ready to germinate. And as the crop germinates, the weeds also germinate, feasting on the fertilizers applied to nourish the crop. Let's compare soybeans planted under ordinary conditions with soybeans planted in treated soil. The soil on the right has been treated. In either soil, both soybeans and weeds germinate, sending out roots and sprouts. Although the weeds grow readily in the soil on the left, see in the treated soil on the right what happened to the weeds. Before they could break through the surface, they shriveled and died. It's the same with corn. Again, the treated soil is on the right. Again, the germinating weeds never make it past the chemical, while the germinating corn seed continues to develop. The weeds you see in the untreated soil to the left could have been eliminated altogether by treating the soil, while the corn to the right, without the weeds, will be able to use the fertilizer in the soil to grow into strong, healthy stalks.
What about that? Just once over, and that's the last of the grass in the rows. I told you to listen to me. I said at the time, I said, a fella does well to listen, you remember?
Well, maybe it looks good now. But we haven't had a good rain yet to wash that stuff out. My theory is that a good rain will leach out the whole works and leave you with plenty of grass to cultivate. I'll listen to you backtrack then, because it's coming up a rain right now.
It's too bad to disappoint Humphrey, but the fact is, Randox, even under heavy rainfall conditions, is absorbed by organic matter or clay present in the soil. So that heavy soils and soils high in organic matter hold it like a sponge, releasing it slowly for extended grassy weed control. And yet this chemical does not build up in the soil. It is safe to use season after season. And in spraying, Randox is easy to apply. You can build a rig for it as easily as Ollie Gruber did. Here's all you need: a 2-inch angle iron frame to support the drum, a pressure pump operating off the tractor's power takeoff, a strainer, pressure control bypass valve, gauge, nozzle valves, and the spray nozzles to complete the rig. The easy-to-follow directions for mixing are right on the label, along with notes on the few simple precautions necessary when handling Randox. You'll need to calibrate your spray equipment before application in order that the correct amounts of water and Randox will be used. In application, 12-inch bands along the rows require only 1 1/3 quarts of Randox to the acre. And if you plant soybeans, Randox bands make it unnecessary to ridge the soil between the rows. Overall applications take only 4 quarts of Randox to the acre. The overall application can be made with the regular type spray rig. Randox saves money, time, and labor. With a single band treatment, it eliminates rotary hoeing, the first and often the second cultivation. All that is needed is a cultivation to clean out the weeds between the rows. Cultivation of the treated bands will require only slight modifications of conventional equipment. The vegetable weed knife is one such modification, although disc hillers or flat sweeps with fender guards are also satisfactory. All tillage of the middles should be done with high-speed sweeps set flat to prevent throwing weed-contaminated soil into the treated zone. And with Randox, you'll save young plants such as this that are damaged by early cultivation, as many as 500 such plants to the acre. What's more, grassy weeds in the row, which the cultivator can't touch, will be eliminated. Weeds like this, plus damage, can rob you of up to 12 bushels on the acre. But with Randox, there are no weeds in the row, and it's easy to cultivate out grass between the rows without damaging your paying plants. Yes, a single economical band treatment of Randox does save you money, time, and labor. You can cross out the cost and the time and the labor you might have spent in rotary hoeing plus part of the cultivation costs. You can cross out the losses in yield from plants destroyed by cultivation. You can cross out in-row weeds that gobble up valuable fertilizer. You can cross them all out and enjoy a growing season unplagued by repeated cultivations. See your cornfields the way cornfields ought to be, neat, clean, and weed-free. And at harvest time, you can come up with dollars in your pocket because you'll have 10 to 12 bushels more to the acre from band treatments on your rows. At soybean harvest time, the beans can be cut short because the rows aren't ridged. You'll get all the low-growing pods, and there'll be no tough grass such as giant foxtail to clog the machinery. It all adds up. Whether it's soybeans or corn, you can figure on getting back $2 to $3 in increased yields and decreased costs for every dollar you spend for Randox.
Well, I never thought I'd see the summer when the only time we cultivated was lay-by time.
Admit the stuff is good, do you? I thought you would, Humphrey. I thought you would. But you haven't seen anything yet. Next year, we lay our corn by when we plant it.
Oh, now, Mr. Gruber,
That's a
you know.
fact, Humphrey. That's a fact. You've got good tilth in this soil. That means we can put 2,4-D and Randox together in an overall treatment and just lay her by when we plant it.
Well, I'm not saying it ain't remarkable, this Randox and what you can do with it. But he's got to admit that. It's remarkable. But it kind of makes me sort of lonesome, too. Why, it was a lot of hard work, but I enjoyed being out there around in the fields in the fresh air.
That's the difference between you and me, my boy. I like rounding the corner to the First National Bank with all the extra money this crop is going to bring. I can just see it. Well, the future's wide open to us, Humphrey. Not just us corn and soybean farmers either. These new farm chemicals are going to revolutionize a lot of crop growing. Flax, barley, legume seedings. Not to mention the truck crops like peas, lima beans, onions, sweet corn, sugar beets. Why, the day is coming when a vegetable garden won't ever see a hole. And you and me, we'll come in from the field as rested as if we'd taken a swing in the hammock. Rested and rich.
Well, I can see where that'd appeal to you.
Oh, didn't I tell you? I'm going to give you a raise, Humphrey. I can afford to now.
Well, that's a horse of a different color. A raise, you say? Thank you, Mr. Gruber.
Oh, don't thank me. Thank Randox. By the way, why don't you call me Ollie?
Mr. Gruber, I'm the hired hand.
Hired hand or not, I'm going to give you a ride in my machine.
That airplane? Oh, no.
Oh, yeah?
Well, why not? From now on, if there's a bigger and better way, I'm for it. Ollie?
Yes, Humphrey's been convinced. He's for it, shoulder to shoulder with Ollie Gruber. And you want to know something? You'll be for it, too, seeing the last of grass in your crops. Yes, sir, when it comes to a better way of doing things, seems like everybody wants to join in the parade.